Welcome back. So some sort of shake-up of the Eskom board has been confirmed. The Department of Public Enterprises says that Minister Pravin Gordhan has met members of the Eskom board and has informed them that the board will soon be reconstituted and restructured. The term of the board expired last year and was extended subject to a review. Government says an announcement will be made in due course. Let's discuss with a journalist who's been following Eskom's woes. To discuss, we're joined by Fin24's writer-at-large, Carol Paton. Carol, thank you for being with us. The cry has been, hasn't it, for more skills on the board, and these are the skills that count, things like engineering. Tell us who's there right now, and are there any possible candidates for the board in future?
Well, at the moment, there are no engineering skills, and that's been one of the issues, is that there are lots of people with governance skills and experience in, on boards and in leadership positions, but there are no engineers, and there's only one person on the board, that's Rod Compton, who's got some sort of experience in the energy field, in the general energy field, and it's not specifically electricity. Other than that, well, Professor Makgoba is the chair. He's a medical doctor. He's not an engineer. And then Busi Mavuso has also been a very leading member of the board. She's also not an engineer, but someone who's very well versed in governance and so on. So the big question is whether there are three others as well, but whether anyone is going to be retained. Or whether there's going to be a clean sweep. And I think a little bit of a fear, if there's a complete clean sweep, is that there won't be any continuity and any retention of any institutional memory. So I think everyone agrees, yes, it is high time that the board was renewed, was strengthened, was reconstituted. It's taken them very long. They're years overdue doing it. Government is years overdue doing it. But there is a bit of anxiety, will it be a complete clean sweep, or are they going to have some continuity on the board?
Yeah, sure, because no matter how good they are, it takes a time for board members to get on top of the issues. Look how long it took for the CEO, I think, to start making accurate predictions about where we were in terms of load shedding. You've also confirmed that Eskom is actually allowed to have 13 non-executive board directors, but it only has 6 at the moment. So that does limit the input and the voices and the oversight. And like you say, it's long overdue. The term of these board members, some of them expiring last year. Has the minister explained how this situation was allowed to happen in the first place?
No, he's never explained, and it's been quite unsatisfactory because the board, in fact, has been asking him. They've asked him ever since these vacancies started arising, which was almost immediately. I think the first person resigned in 2018, not so long after the board was appointed. The board has been writing to him and saying, please fill the vacancies. It's very, it's a demanding, for a company the size of Eskom to be on the board and to sit in board committees and to do all the work that you need to do is demanding. So they just haven't had enough person power to do what's needed. And the minister's never given an adequate explanation. I mean, of late he started to say, I think he said it to one or two journalists, it's out of his hands. So that was taken to mean, well, what does he mean it's out of his hands? Does he mean it's in the ANC's hands? Are we talking about the ANC Deployment Committee's hands? Or are we talking about the president? Is the president dragging his feet? But he's never clarified. But now what we do know is the cabinets are resolved. There's urgency. They want to do this. And I would caution against thinking, well, this is something they are doing to solve the problem. It's something they should have done very, very long ago to mitigate against the problem rather than solve it now.
Sure. Well, tell me if you agree with me that there seems to be something of a spat between two ministers, Pravin Gordhan, who has often suggested that there needs to be new watts, new generating capacity on board, and Gwede Mantashe, who often speaks about the capacity of Eskom to do what it's required to do, which then returns the ball to the court of Pravin Gordhan. Do you agree with me that that seems to be an underlying issue? These two ministers are not agreeing what the problem is, and there's something of a blame game going on in the midst of an incredible crisis for the country.
Exactly. I think that has been happening, and it's unfortunate because the obvious solution, I think everybody who's been following the story knows, you've got to have both. You've got to fix Eskom. You've got to fix Eskom to the best of the ability of the best engineers. So there's got to be everything thrown at trying to fix it. I don't think it will never be the Eskom it was in the 1990s, but it can be a better Eskom than it is now. And then the second thing you need to do is, because Eskom's plants are all getting older and their lives are coming to an end, you have to build more. And I think, De Reis has been saying this right from the get-go: please build more. Can the private sector build more? Can government come in and, provide incentives for people to build more generation capacity? Because that's only, time when we're going to, start to see an easing of load shedding, never mind, a complete end to load shedding.
There are calls for the CEO to resign or to be kicked out. Any indication of what could happen there?
No idea. I mean, the Pravin Gordhan, he's the shareholder representative. He has the authority to remove the CEO if he feels that he's not performing. And we haven't had any indication. And it's been a bit of an ominous silence because, they've made these hints, after the cabinet's statement, they've made these hints saying that they're intensively engaging on the question of leadership. And we know that there's been huge concern in political circles about De Reis's performance. There's a lot of feeling that, well, he's not up for the job. So we don't know. We honestly don't know. And I think that the big risk there is, you can get, disillusioned with De Reis and say, well, look, the plants are still in a mess after 2.5 years and you've been here. But the risk is what comes after him might be worse, especially if you've got to bring in a new person who's going to try and get to grips with the problem.
Yeah. De Reis himself has spoken about that, saying he does believe he can provide that sort of continuity and understanding. He also bemoaned the fact earlier that there wasn't a board, never mind the board of Eskom, there hasn't been a board for the new generating unit. So this is part of the unbundling, possibly holding up that split. Any word there?
Yes, exactly. So actually it's the transmission company. So once Eskom gets split up, there will be an independent transmission company, and that independent transmission company will be buying energy not just from Eskom plants, but by all sorts of people who are producing it. That's the new vision for the energy sector. And that board, for that split to continue and progress, the board must be appointed. Now, the people who select the directors are the Eskom board, because it's a subsidiary of Eskom. But, the minister, this is a state-owned enterprise, and the minister needs to confirm them. And that has not happened. He's had the name since February. So that's another reason why people are saying, what is this inertia? What is this paralysis? Why can we not move on? You have the names. Please, can we move on? So I think when Pravin Gordhan does talk about restructuring and reconstituting the board, I hope that he's referring to that and the fact that they'll also be announcing a board for the transmission company.
All right, well, we'll keep trying to chat to the minister. We have been requesting, and that was Carol Paton, a writer at large at Fin24. Thank you very much.